Oh boy, vetiver and grapefruit. How original can this fragrance get? No, I mention all the time that grapefruit and vetiver really work wonderfully together, which is the case here with the latest fragrance from the house of Parfums De Marly, targeted to men. Comes in this beautiful sunshine-colored orange bottle, and you basically have an idea of what you're going to get. Unfortunately, though, this fragrance is not as exciting the last release, Altair. And I'm going to let you know all about Perseus and also compare it to the now discontinued Byerley from the house of Parfums De Marly, which was their previous vetiver fragrance. Which one is a better one? Find out all about it coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about the latest release from the house of Parfums De Marly, Perseus. It just launched, although not just launched, it's a couple months out now already. If you have a bottle, are you enjoying it? And if not, and you've been curious and you're a fan of the house and you enjoy vetiver, why haven't you purchased Perseus yet? Let me know. Put a comment down below. But this is a brand spanking new release from the house of Parfums De Marly. It comes like half a year after, maybe a little more than a half a year after Altair came out. And again, Altair for me was very exciting. It was also a lot more potent. Perseus, on the other hand, to me, I think it's a warm weather fragrance. It's a lot of grapefruit with, the aromatic, woody, grassy, earthy notes of vetiver along with other woods. But there's also other citruses in here. So it's a nice balance of citruses. But unfortunately, as I said, it doesn't really make it a very exciting fragrance, and not the kind of fragrances that you look up to Parfums De Marly for, like Leighton and Carlisle, my favorite being Herod, and of course Altair. And I also enjoy Greenly. I think Greenly is one of the best freshies from this house. And even though this is not that, it's fresh, but there's that, substance about it with the vetiver, I still prefer Greenly over Perseus. So this is a 2024 launch. It's created by a perfumer I'm completely unfamiliar with, Nathalie Templar. Are you guys familiar with this perfumer? I looked her up and I didn't see a lot of fragrances in her catalog of perfumes she's created. So I'm going to have to pay attention to what Nathalie Templar does. But I would call this a woody citrus aromatic, or a woody citrus aromatic woody. But it has all of these styles, here. We've got lots of woods, lots of citruses, and aromatics coming in. Suggested retail price for 125 ml, which is what you see here, is $365. And it's Eau De Parfum concentration, like all other Parfums De Marly fragrances for men, unless it's an exclusive, which goes into the Extrait de Parfum concentration, I believe. So this has notes of vetiver, pink grapefruit, bergamot, green mandarin, dry woods, cashmere wood, ambergris accord, geranium, blackcurrant buds. It's good that they're mentioning it's an ambergris accord and not ambergris. There's a light touch of ambergris coming in here, but they're not using the real stuff, which is quite expensive. They're using notes to create an accord to smell like ambergris. It doesn't get very ambergris-like, and I think it needs it here. It's definitely needing it. But this is a blast of sunshine when you first spritz it. It's very juicy, it's very zingy, and again, grapefruit and vetiver, you see it quite often. It's there, it's constantly there, and it's constantly being done. I see it all the time. In fact, there's a famous Zara fragrance, Vetiver Pamplemousse, I think that's what it's called, which this kind of reminds me of, unfortunately. Whereas if you have that one, why bother spending this much money on this one, which is a sad state. But that's the reason why it's not very exciting for me. But moving back to the fragrance, again, it's lots of vetiver with grapefruit. The first blast is a sunshine. It's like blast of citruses. I love the grapefruit here. It's got that zing. There's a bit of spice, bitterness there, along with its juiciness. And then, of course, bergamot and green mandarin come in as well. Really make the fragrance a citrusy blast. There's a lot of citruses here against the woods, which is a nice fragrance. It makes for a pleasant fragrance and a bit boring, unfortunately. And then you've got additional woods coming in, and there's a bit of muskiness with the cashmere wood. And of course, as I was mentioning, I am getting a little bit of that ambergris in here, not like a full-on in-your-face ambergris, which can get a bit off-putting and animalic. It's just the right amount to balance out the fragrance, to add a bit of that funk, the marine, but it's really, really hidden in there. So most of you that are not sensitive to it might not notice it. In addition to that, there's light touches of geranium, and it does get very, very lightly fruity, which, creates more of a freshness. But the geranium and the vetiver do have that aromatic touches. So it's a very aromatic, woody, citrusy fragrance. And of course, you're going to experience some spices. Vetiver in its own has a spiciness to me. And also the grapefruit, the pink grapefruit in here. There's some zing, there's some spice, bitterness, as I said. So it's a pleasant fragrance. It smells really, really great. And I think this is going to shine perfectly in the heat. But it's not as exciting, unfortunately. I wanted something else in here to get me excited to want to pull for it. But it is still a pleasure to wear, I'm saying. And, you spritz it on. You've got that, that blast of citruses that, if you're waking up in the morning and you're sleepy, you just spritz this on and it gives you that invigorating touch that citruses gives you. And then, of course, it develops into the woodiness with the vetiver and so on. But it's not one of the most exciting releases from this house, unfortunately. And there are other fragrances out there like this. So unfortunately, this is what my opinion is on this fragrance. You might consider this one of the best fragrances out there, but I've experienced fragrances like this out there. And I don't understand why they discontinued Byerley and brought on this one. Is Byerley a bit too... I don't consider Byerley old school, but it was mostly about woods, dark, smoky vetiver compared to this, which is bright and fresh vetiver, grassy. I don't get the grassiness in the Byerley. I get more of an earthiness, and it's blended with lots of woods, spices, and resin, amber, balsamic touches. It's such a great release. It was very, very underrated for Marly. Nobody spoke about it. I have a full review of Byerley on the channel that I did years ago if you want to find out more about it, as I do see some selling at the discounters. But Byerley launched around 2013, 2014. The databases are either saying 2013 or 2014. I don't have a suggested retail price on this. In the video that I have up, you can find out those prices. But of course, it came in 125 ml. The perfumer for Byerley was never disclosed, so I don't know who the perfumer is. But for me, at the time when this was out, I ranked this quite high in vetiver videos and things like that because I just loved the way it wore. I enjoyed the vetiver going into a smoky direction. And I think it could also be the combination of the guaiac wood that's in here and all the resins and balsamic notes that are in here, giving you an ambery base along with the guaiac and the vetiver. So they're totally, totally different between the two. And I think when Byerley got discontinued around 2020, I believe maybe Parfums De Marly thought we need to launch another vetiver fragrance. This time, let's go into the fresh direction. And the reason why I'm thinking this one is a bit boring is because I have fragrances like this. I don't have to pay this much for it. So those of you that are curious about this and are thinking the price is too high, 125 ml, $365, I suppose wait for the discounters. They'll go on discount because a lot of Marlys are discounted, so you'll find them there. But get your nose on it and see what you think. It might be the best fragrance you've put your nose on, but I do have fragrances like this. Most importantly, the Zara Vetiver Pamplemousse. Is that still selling, by the way? I haven't looked it up for a while. I wouldn't call the Zara fragrance a dupe of this, but it has similarities to it. So it's a great alternative or substitute to this. But we'll see how it is. And if you've bought yourself a bottle, let me know if you're enjoying it. The other thing, I believe I mentioned this already, I think Perseus will be perfect in the heat. It's that kind of fragrance where it's citruses drying down to woods. Woods have the better longevity. Citruses wearing out faster than woods. So it'll be a nice transition from the freshness, the zing, the spiciness of the grapefruit, along with the juiciness and the floral touches of the bergamot and its unique touches of the green mandarin coming in here to give you just a really nice, invigorating citrus blast. And I think it could be very refreshing in the heat. And even also prolong the life, because heat does prolong the life. Because with the Perseus, in comparison to Altair, I don't have as great of a longevity with the Perseus in comparison to the Altair. Altair for me was a really great release. I loved it. This one, it's not a bad fragrance. I'm not saying it's bad. It smells really, really great. It just is a bit boring and not as exciting as Perseus. Now, one other thing I should mention. So Parfums De Marly called this fragrance Perseus, right? So there's a dupe clone house out there called Maison Alhambra. Maison Alhambra. They are an Arabic Middle Eastern dupe house, clone house that copies a lot of Parfums De Marly fragrances. In fact, there's a Perseus from Maison Alhambra, which is basically a dupe of Pegasus from Parfums De Marly. In fact, Maison Alhambra, which is a co-brand of Latafa, has duped so many Parfums De Marly fragrances. I'm sure you guys own one. I don't talk too much about that brand here, but I was noticing that Maison Alhambra does have a dupe of Pegasus called Perseus. So is this Marly's way to get back at Maison Alhambra and call their fragrance Perseus? Basically, they're copying them to cause a little confusion out there. Because when you look up Perseus, you're going to come up with Parfums De Marly Perseus. You're going to come up with Maison Alhambra Perseus. Complete different fragrances. Maison Alhambra's Perseus supposedly is a dupe of Pegasus. They even have a Perseus exclusive, which is a Pegasus exclusive. Man, that company dupes so many things. I don't understand how they get away with it, especially with the bottles looking similar as well. But maybe this is Parfums De Marly's way to get back at Maison Alhambra and calling their name Perseus. But either way, let me know your thoughts on the whole Maison Alhambra Perseus versus Parfums De Marly Perseus. Do you think they were getting back at Maison Alhambra for copying, one of their fragrances and calling it Perseus, and then Parfums De Marly going around them and calling their latest fragrance Perseus? Put a comment down below so I can find out. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know if you have Perseus and you are enjoying it. Let me know if you're not excited about this one. Are you enjoying Altair? Put a comment down below. And let me know if you were a fan of Byerley. Byerley is really, really good. If you're a fan of Vetiver and you like a lot of different types of Vetiver fragrances, try and figure out a way to get a sample or sample this. And if you can get a bottle, get it. I did see some at the discounters out there. Not a lot of stock. And this will disappear and it'll be completely done and over with. But it's too bad that this is a bit non-exciting or not exciting for me. But let me try it out also when it's really warm outside, because I do think this is going to be better in the heat. Let's see how it wears then, and does it get a little more exciting for me in the heat compared to when it's pretty cool outside still here. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.